The creator disappoints by coming in third place at the box office in its opening weekend. Michael Gambon has passed away at the age of 82, and A24 is interested in purchasing the rights to the Halloween franchise. Let's get into this week's movie news.
Hello, movie friends. Welcome back to Raiders of the Lost podcast, the ultimate film and TV podcast. And today we have another episode of Movie News where we go through all of the industry news so you don't have to. Lots of trailer releases, tons of casting and announcements for film and TV.
Yeah, don't you dare going on the internet.
Don't go anywhere.
We are going to give you all the news.
As well as the box office stats for this weekend. Now, this box office was very surprising. We had three major new releases. So Paw Patrol came in first place with $22.5 million, winning the opening weekend by a lot, and it became a huge hit for the franchise. They've already greenlit the next film in the franchise for 2026.
Paw Patrol 17. How many are there? There's gonna be, or is it the first Paw Patrol?
This is the first one.
Okay.
Yeah, where they're super. Yeah,
I think because there's already other ones, aren't there? Like of this
in the franchise, they made them superheroes for this one.
Okay, yeah, I've seen the billboards and the posters. They're all like got their own Iron Man suits. Yeah, it's pretty cute.
Everything's superheroes.
If I was a kid, I'd be like, that's really fun.
Yeah, and then in second place, Saw X had a surprisingly good opening weekend for the 10th film in this horror franchise, $18.6 million, biggest of the franchise for an opening weekend. It also has, by far, the best reviews of any Saw film. It's actually the only Saw film that is certified fresh on Rotten Tomatoes. The next highest rated Saw film is 50% on Rotten Tomatoes.
That's shocking because I think the first one's an awesome movie.
First one's great.
I don't know how that's a rotten movie.
I think it was ahead of its time.
It probably was.
It was when like Gore
2004, yeah.
Gore Fest and torture porn was still new, so critics I think weren't sure what to make of it. But now it's become a commonality.
When you go back and watch Saw, the original, that is an excellent horror film.
It's a really brilliant concept. There's a reason why James Wan is so successful. It's because he had an amazing first film with Saw and such a great idea, amazing twist.
Was that his first movie?
First movie, yeah.
That's an awesome debut.
Yeah, it's a debut that people don't talk about. Correct? I might be wrong, but I'm pretty sure.
Let me double check you.
I'm pretty sure it's his first film. But the Saw is actually getting very good reviews from both audiences and critics. It's got a decent IMDb score. A lot of our friends have seen it. They're giving it 3.5 stars. So it's not as bad as I thought it was going to be.
So do you think it's still bad?
Well, a lot of people gave it 3s. It's the 10th movie in the Saw franchise. What do you expect, man? Expectations are low.
Not as bad as I thought. Hold on, I got his IMDb pulled up. Let's go and see where his first film was. So he made a movie called Stygian in 2000, but it was only an hour and 12 minutes, so that's technically
a feature.
But I think it was a very low budget indie. So it seems like Saw was technically his first feature length film, like major studio production, 2004. He made a short film for Saw in 2003. Have you ever seen it?
No.
It has one of the I think it's got the actor from the original, one of the guys that's chained up and kind of this interesting short story. It's only 9 minutes long. I would recommend checking it out.
I'd love to watch it now.
Yeah.
So in third place at the box office, Gareth Edwards' new film, The Creator, disappoints with a $14 million opening weekend. This is not what they wanted. They definitely wanted closer to the tune of $25 million for an opening weekend with an $80 million budget. Unfortunately, audiences did not choose to see this film. They chose to see Saw X instead. It's about the same kind of demographic. Unfortunately, for original sci-fi, this isn't good news. We were expecting a little bit more. It is getting pretty decent reviews, not quite as high as we were expecting based upon the early hype of this film last year. And so we're going to see it today. We'll let you know our thoughts later this week. I'm looking forward to it. I like Gareth Edwards a lot. I think the trailer's really cool and the concept's awesome, so I'm looking forward to seeing it. But it's unfortunate that it didn't really debut with that big of a splash.
Maybe it'll have good word of mouth for people going to the theater, but that's an opening weekend bomb to come in third place.
Yeah,
$80 million movie. You know, they were projecting 20 to 30 million at the opening weekend box office, but to third place for Disney, one of their biggest movies of the year with The Creator, that's a bomb, honestly.
It would have done better if it came out last week, because remember, last week was the worst weekend of the year for box office.
Yeah, but also, would it have maybe made more money? We don't know. This movie was heavily marketed. This has been everywhere, especially like film Twitter, film talk, film Instagram. Everyone's talking about The Creator. They've been seeing it, so it's not like people don't know this movie exists. There are billboards everywhere.
It's mainstream audiences chose not to see it.
Yeah,
That's what it is.
They chose to see Saw, like more of like the 10th movie in a franchise versus The Creator. Maybe a lot of people don't understand what the movie is based off the trailers.
Could be, yeah, it could be.
But I'm very excited to see it today because it's one of our most anticipated movies of the year. Original sci-fi blockbusters, like we need these to do well. We really do.
Oh yeah, big time.
So this was disappointing. Hopefully it gets a little better word of mouth and people turn out weeks 2 and 3.
We'll see going forward. Now in 4th place, The Nun 2 made $4.6 million, and it's reached $76 million domestically so far. So a very healthy box office success for Warner Brothers. And then in 5th place was Dumb Money. On its wide release now, it brought in $4 million. Its total sum is just under $8 million. So another big loss for a new film. It's been released for 3 weeks now, but it was a limited run before. Last week was in 600 theaters. This week is a little over 1,000 theaters. So it's on a wide release, and so they definitely want more money than that. So another failure.
And Dumb Money is a movie that nobody's talking about. Nobody's talking about seeing this movie. You know what else no one's talking about? The Continental. No one's talking about.
Oh yeah, that came out.
It came out 10 days ago.
I saw your tweet. Yeah.
I tweeted the other day, is anyone watching The Continental? Because I didn't realize it got released. I forgot it came out, actually. It's on Peacock. It's only that 3-episode miniseries, basically. And only one person said they're watching it. They said they're enjoying it, but I think there were like 10 responses where people are like, not interested, don't really care.
There were a bunch of responses of people not liking it.
And not liking it.
There were about 6 or 7 on your tweet of comments of people saying it was okay and it was not that good.
They
and
said
definitely
it didn't really feel like a John Wick movie, which the trailer I think I brought up 2 weeks ago didn't feel like a John Wick movie at all. I mean, you don't have Stahelski. And obviously, it's a prequel without John. One thing that irked me about the trailer.
What irked you, man?
His Mustang's in it. Why is John Wick's Mustang in this? Like, this is
the origins of the Mustang.
Exactly. This is the problem with the reboot legacies and the prequels is you can't, like, the Mustang is so iconic to John Wick himself, but now I'm assuming, what's his name's Mustang now? Or
Winston's, and he probably gave it to John.
Yeah, that ruins the...
Don't tell me that's it.
If that's it, it ruins the lore. It takes away from the character of John Wick. If the Mustang, the origin story of the Mustang is Winston, possibly. I get, like, that Mustang is from that era.
I don't care where the Mustang came from. You don't need to know.
But it's John Wick's Mustang, and now you're taking away something that was his just for the trailer, just to get people enticed. It's baiting, man. It really is.
I think so too. And what's he gonna meet, like a teenage John Wick?
Probably
give it to him.
I guarantee maybe
that was their plan for the second season.
Is he's gonna meet a teenage John Wick?
That's my guess. Oh. They didn't greenlight it.
I mean, stuff like that takes away from what was great about a character or the original story.
This is why when they eventually reboot the John Wick, like with John Wick and without Keanu, and they're probably gonna go, they're gonna go with the younger one. It's not gonna do the same because it's the success of John Wick really is a testament to Keanu Reeves and his star power and his just true magnetism on screen that just draws people in.
And Stahelski.
And Stahelski did a wonderful job, but Keanu is the reason why that franchise is successful. So when you don't have him in it, it's not going to work. This is an example of it.
We'll see what Ballerina is like. I'm looking forward to Ballerina with Anna de Armas because I think they'll have the same production crew from the movies. I'm sure the TV series had a bunch of different people and coordinators and everything like that, but I'm curious about the movie for sure. But I have no interest really in watching The Continental, especially after I posed that question on Twitter. But let's get into some more news. A tragic note. Michael Gambon passed away at the age of 82. Sir Michael Gambon. He was obviously the second Dumbledore cast after the passing of Richard Harris for Prisoner of Azkaban going forward through Deathly Hallows. But he's also a great legend in theater as well as so many movies. Layer Cake, he's excellent. He plays a great mob boss, has incredible monologues in that movie. The Insider, The King's Speech, Sleepy Hollow, Fantastic Mr. Fox, as well as many, many others. Very respected actor, and he will be dearly missed for sure.
Yeah, and Daniel Radcliffe, amongst others, made statements, and his statement said, with the loss of Michael Gambon, the world just became considerably less fun. Michael Gambon was one of the most brilliant, effortless actors I've ever had the privilege of working with, but despite his immense talent, the thing I remember most about him is how much fun he had doing his job. And he also said that on Half-Blood Prince, they spent so much time in front of green screens, the two of them, because they had a lot of sequences together. And he said that Michael Gambon always made every day more fun than it deserved to be because they were in front of green screens. But he just is like he was an infectious personality.
Yeah, and I think he was an excellent casting after the passing of Richard Harris because Richard was great and he really captured the heart and the soul of Dumbledore in those first two films. But he was very elderly, and later on in the books and the movies, Dumbledore, he's got some action sequences. Half-Blood Prince specifically,
he shows strength.
Yeah, he has he's got some action scenes, and you really needed to show that. It would have been difficult, I'm sure, for Richard Harris. What a horrible passing, but he was getting up there, and I think Richard Harris brought that youthfulness that was also a part of Dumbledore in the books, because he's always described as being a man. He's like over 100 years old, but he has the youthfulness of someone in like their 40s and kind of even
very
athleticism.
spry.
Yeah, very spry
Very
old
spry.
man. So I think Michael Gambon definitely brought that to the character for the later parts of the franchise.
And I made a TikTok about, everyone makes fun of the Goblet of Fire scene. Did you put your name into the Goblet of Fire?
Dumbledore asked Harry calmly.
Now, like, that whole performance, I made a TikTok explaining that performance. Michael Gambon didn't do that in Azkaban. His performance in Azkaban he had that kindness, he had that charm, and he had that sweet, loving Dumbledore. But I really think it was Mike Newell's direction of making him more, because in Goblet he's impatient, in the other scenes impatient.
Yeah.
He's annoyed, he's frustrated, and he's short-tempered. It wasn't just that one scene.
You don't really feel much love from Dumbledore in Goblet of Fire until Cedric's death.
And so I analyzed it because Mike Newell, he's like an old school kind of British guy. And I remember interviews with the kids, and the kids were saying, working with him, they felt like they were in boarding school. Rather than with Columbus and Cuarón, they were working with like a friend and a collaborator as a director. Newell brought like assertiveness to the set, and I think he brought this new interpretation and directed Michael Gambon to act like that in Goblet, because it's a complete 180-degree turn from what he did in Azkaban.
Plus, also, I mean, I'm sure they did different versions of, hey,
Yeah.
try it calmly, try it aggressive, try it a little more in the middle, and they just probably went with what they wanted.
Yeah, but Michael Gambon ended up being really, really sensational.
Directing is a huge role in performances,
Exactly.
especially for huge franchises.
Yeah.
So I think a lot of people, it wasn't Michael Gambon, it was Mike Newell.
That's what I'm saying.
probably, yeah.
I think it was absolutely Michael Gambon's choice to do it that way.
Some massive news going forward. The WGA strike is over. They have struck a deal with the AMPTP, and it officially went into effect on Monday. It'll hopefully I'm sure it will be ratified in October. We are doing an entire episode tomorrow breaking down and explaining all the details of this new contract with the WGA, which will last 3 years, talking about residual payments, talking about artificial intelligence, all of these regulations and protections for the WGA and writers that are going into effect with the studio. Don't miss that episode tomorrow if you're curious about what this new contract entails.
We went through every bit of details, so if you want to know more about it, yeah, we informed the hell out of it.
And SAG, after they begin their negotiations again tomorrow on October 2nd, Monday, with the AMPTP. So hopefully this will be a contagious end of a strike for the WGA. It'll affect the SAG. Hopefully they can make a deal maybe this week, maybe the following week. So let's cross our fingers that both these strikes officially end very soon. We'll keep you posted on that. And in addition to our WGA strike episode tomorrow, Wednesday is going to be an episode on Blade Runner 2049. Don't miss that one.
It's really great. All right, getting into some A24 news. A24 is currently in a bidding war for the rights to the Halloween IP. They would like to make a TV series as well as new films, so they want to turn it into a whole thing. For clarity, quoting for clarity, while Miramax co-owns the film rights, Trancas is the sole owner of all television rights. From what we understand, there is a massive bidding war going on right now for television rights, with several different parties interested and vying for the chance to bring Michael Myers back to life.
Like he wasn't gone for a year.
Evil dies tonight. Evil dies.
They just came out with a movie last year.
It just ended, I thought. I thought it ended.
Back to life. He escaped.
I can't stand the titles. Halloween ends on, and we were like, yeah, they're gonna make another one in 2 years.
This is a crazy quote. Like, back to life. He's been dead for so long. It's been 7 months.
People were craving. Finally, can we see Michael Myers back on screen again? It's been years. We're exclusively hearing that A24 and Miramax are the two main parties currently in battle for TV rights, and that A24 is currently leading the charge.
And Miramax is actually owned right now, majority stake by Paramount. It's shifted ownership back in from like 1993 to 2010. It was owned by Disney. So Paramount has the control over Miramax, and
yeah, Disney bought it from the Weinsteins.
Yeah,
and then
because the Weinsteins created Miramax,
and then when Disney bought Miramax, they started making movies as the Weinstein Company, and so Disney ended up just completely controlling Miramax from then on.
And then Miramax and Dimension Films are also the same company. It's just a different label.
Horror
so like
umbrella.
They make a ton of horror movies as well as Airbud.
Earbud. My favorite childhood classic, Earbud.
It's about headphones and ears. Well, and speaking of
It's
horror,
about earbuds that play basketball.
we got Bose versus Apple today. Now we have another horror studio, trying to hopefully get the rights to another horror icon.
Or they could make their own new ones.
Well, I mean, it's easier this way, man. So Blumhouse is really interested in getting the rights to Friday the 13th. Obviously, they've done the Halloween trilogy, and they also have their first Exorcist film coming out next month with The Exorcist Believer, which will be the first film of a trilogy that they're planning. So now they want to acquire the rights to Friday the 13th.
I just died inside.
And Jason Voorhees, you can't stop it.
I know.
It's gonna happen. You just gotta accept it, bro.
I know.
There's these movies are gonna keep getting made over and over again. That's what it is. This is the 21st century.
I know.
Just let it happen,
Okay,
man.
I will.
Just have a beer and relax and watch someone get their head cut off with a machete from Jason Voorhees.
Oh no, Jason Voorhees ones, I don't care.
Okay.
Because it's already been
Oh, you mean the Exorcist
trilogy? I just died inside.
Well, the thing with the Exorcist trilogy, because there's already been 5 sequels to the Exorcist or something like that.
There's been 3 sequels, but nobody's seen them and they suck.
So by the end of it, there'll be 7 Exorcist movies. Just like Halloween, there's 10. I don't know. It is what it is.
There's like a ton of How many are there?
Well, there's an entire exorcism genre now,
Yeah,
but
that's
The
true.
Exorcist itself has several sequels, and this is the first of their trilogy. Now, A24 and Peacock, back last year in 2022, they had announced a prequel series called Crystal Lake, but there's been no updates on that since July. Apparently, that's going to come out in 2024, but I don't know what's going on with that because of the strike when it happened, as well as now that it's over. Now, Crystal Lake, obviously, if you know from Friday the 13th, is the name of the camp where I won't spoil who the killer in the first film is because I'm sure some people haven't seen it. But obviously,
It's John Wick.
Jason Voorhees kills all the campers. It's Crystal Lake. So I don't know if they're making that for sure still. But Blumhouse obviously wants to acquire the film rights to Friday the 13th, and I'm sure make a trilogy out of that.
I like the idea of being at Crystal Lake.
Me too.
I like that.
And I like Blumhouse's game plan. They just buy an IP, the rights to it for like 10 years, make 3 movies, get out, we're good to go.
Well, they've accumulated the money to do it, so they have the big bucks to buy the big boys. So
I would like to see a reboot. I would like this. We haven't seen Jason Voorhees on film in a while.
and they've rarely been good.
And I mean, yeah, but there's the icon of the
Yeah.
character is huge, and he was huge when we were young, when we were kids.
Oh yeah, we watched all of
Jason
them.
Voorhees was
Jason X, Jason in space, bro.
But I mean, those horror classics from the 70s and 80s, they were still huge in the 90s and early 2000s for us. We were still watching those. So I would actually love to see a new version of Friday the 13th.
Yeah, Friday the 13th, I'm cool because it's been a while.
It's been a
this
while.
This one, audiences have been waiting to finally
Yeah.
let's finally bring him back to life. Like it's been like 10 years.
Michael Myers has been to life this whole century. like this,
That sentence applies to
Voorhees.
to Jason, not
and to an extent, Freddy.
Yeah. My God. Oh my God. All right. So, more news about some reboots. Paramount Pictures has announced that once the strikes are done,
Well,
so
now that
the
WGA's
WGA's over, they're working towards a Star Trek reboot, which is a top priority for them. Makes sense because it's one of the most important IPs to that studio at the moment. Star Trek 4 was in development for the past few years, but they're shutting that down. They're going to do a complete reboot of the franchise, which
It's
is
been development hell.
Yeah, I expect that. I mean, they got 3 goes. It was 15 years. Let's do another one. That's understandable.
Let's reboot it with the new James Kirk and everything.
Let's make it younger, hotter cast. They actually already did that.
That's tough. That was already a hot
That
cast.
was a hot cast.
I mean, we have Chris Pine,
So
Zoe
hot right
Saldana, Chris Hemsworth is in that first one as well.
Man,
It's a pretty good looking cast.
I think they cast it really well.
They did.
They did a great
I
cast.
like the Star Trek
I
movies.
love the first one. It's one of my favorite sci-fi films of the 21st century.
That's
It's
one of the
great.
best reboots of the century.
Yeah.
For an IP for a film IP. I mean, they did a great job with that first movie. It's a lot of fun.
Yeah, it was really good.
And I mean, even though there are a lot of lens flares that make no sense, it's still
And I like the lens flares and I like the Dutch angles.
the
I think
lens
they're
flares in the
cool.
first one are great. There's too many in the third one though.
The third, he went a little too far.
I was having a panic attack with
He
all
was
those
like,
lens
let's get
flares.
it in every shot.
He's just like you can tell JJ's like offset, just like off camera, just like shining that flashlight.
But the first one's really good. I like it.
Big news that everyone's been waiting for. There's been an update on Frozen 3. It's officially happening for real. especially post WGA Strike at Disney. We're getting more Frozen, everybody.
Some people are worth melting for.
Is that the tagline?
No, that's what he says when he's dying. The snowman, the snowman guy.
What's his name?
I don't know. Snowman.
Olaf. Yeah.
Some people are worth melting for.
The snowman guy.
I've only seen it once, and it was with our niece like fucking 10 years ago.
I've seen Frozen like 15 times with her, man.
Really?
Yeah, Annie loves Frozen.
I've only seen it
loved
once.
it when she was a kid.
She had so much Frozen merch.
Yeah.
Disney made a lot of money off our brother.
They made a lot of money off of just everyone.
So much, dude.
Imagine
you
how
saw
much merch they
Frozen
sold.
everywhere you went. If there were kids nearby, they had something Frozen.
And the thing with Frozen, it's such a clever story because it applies to the holidays and Christmas time.
Yeah, without being a Christmas movie.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So you can have the merch sold in the summertime, then you're selling more of it in the wintertime because it's like a snowman, it's Arctic, so it applies to the holidays as well. It's pretty genius stuff.
It became a money-making machine, Frozen.
Absolutely.
I remember at the malls, the stores, Frozen everywhere.
Imagine how much merch they've sold for Frozen. Oh my gosh.
Disney, with a big success like that, they'll make $1 billion off the movie, that movie made $1 billion, but then they'll make probably $10 billion off of merchandise.
Probably.
Maybe more since because it's been 15 years since the first one or so, about 15. They've probably made at least $10 billion off merchandise.
And meanwhile, we've made like $1,000 off merch.
But we do appreciate all the merch that has been
In
bought
3
for
years.
Raiders Crew. Well, we stopped pushing it. We should like advertise it.
You know what we should do? We should start making limited time drops. Like some new designs.
like a cool drop.
Yeah, like a new design.
Get them-
I'll get
the-
on that for
yeah.
the winter time.
Well, we got the cool new hats. You got to get a new hat. You know
yeah.
where? You know you got to get a new one.
I'll get one.
It's great.
I'll get one.
I worked really hard on the design of that.
Did you?
Yeah,
Did you though?
I did.
Did you though?
I did.
Moving on. New trailer. Let's get into trailers. Actually, we got several.
So Argyle, Matthew Vaughn's upcoming film with Henry Cavill, Bryce Dallas Howard, Sam Rockwell, Bryce Dallas Howard, Sam Rockwell, Dua Lipa, and many others. Looks fun and hilarious. This is from Apple, but it is going to be in theaters. So we thought Henry Cavill was going to be the star. The star is actually Bryce Dallas Howard, and she plays an espionage novel writer. And so Henry Cavill, Dua Lipa, and many other characters will be playing visual representations of the story she's writing currently. And then she actually gets caught up with a real spy played by Sam Rockwell, who takes her on his journey. It looks really fun. Sam Rockwell is like hitting the action really hard, which I'm happy to see.
Yeah, has he really ever done action before?
He did an action movie with Anna Kendrick, like Mr. Assassin or something. It was okay.
Okay, I remember that.
He
looks good as an action hero.
Yeah,
like,
he's crushing. He's rocking the shit out of it.
Yeah, I always
love
thought
it.
he was more of a Streisand, but he's rocking the shit in this one.
But Henry Cavill looks hilarious. They have this great flat top.
Yeah.
Kind of. People are freaking out online. Guys, it's a comedy. Stop taking
it's a joke.
People do online.
The hairstyle, it's a
Yeah,
satire.
exactly. The Twitter is going on insane for the hair. It's like, guys, it's a joke. This is a comedy, but it looks like a lot of fun.
It's really interesting
yeah.
because the teaser before the trailer came out the day before was just of this cat in a backpack. And I'm like, what is Argyle? I thought it was a spy movie.
Yeah, exactly.
But it looks like Stranger Than Fiction, where obviously Stranger Than Fiction, that movie starring Will Ferrell, he finds out that he's a character in a book that's being written. This seems like that because Bryce Dallas Howard's character, the author, she's predicting things in her books and writing that are actually happening, like chapters she's writing. They're occurring in real espionage world of spies, and they're trying to come after her to figure out like what the next chapter is going to be.
Yeah, so like the CIA has always been like keeping close tabs on her books to be prepared for events.
It's pretty clever.
Yeah.
I'm really curious. It looks like something fun and original, so sign me up. And we like Matthew Vaughn a lot. He's a really great filmmaker.
All right, next up, my favorite trailer this week was May December. This is Todd Haynes' new film starring Natalie Portman and Julianne Moore. It looks excellent. So Portman plays an actress who begins researching a new role by shadowing the life of a woman who was caught in the crossfire of the press and media years prior because of her affair with a 15-year-old boy. This woman's played by Julianne Moore. Currently, she and the boy, who's now in his 30s, have been married for over a decade, but Natalie Portman's arrival disrupts their apparent marital bliss. It looks really good. Check out May December. The trailer slaps.
I love the concept because obviously you read so many stories about actors and actresses when they're researching a role and they're following somebody around, shadowing them, and learning about their lives and their mannerisms. So it's actually going to be cool to see that on a movie. Like, I'm sure it's been done before in film, but I mean,
But this takes a really unexpected dark twist.
I mean, it's a dark kind of idea. It's pretty interesting.
It seems like Portman's character has ulterior motives for sure.
We got another trailer for The Toxic Avenger. This one looks silly and fun. Peter Dinklage is starring in this one as Winston Goose. He's a janitor whose employer refuses to cover treatment for his terminal illness. After robbing the company, Winston falls into toxic waste and aims to right society's wrongs as the Toxic Avenger. The cast looks great. It just looks like a silly, fun kind of superhero movie, but
very
with like a great
gory,
twist.
very gory. This is just a teaser, but they showed some really insane shots of blood and gore. But the first thing they released was the backlit photo of Dinklage 2 weeks ago, and then did you see that Elijah Wood image?
Yeah, he looks he looks like Gollum.
Yeah, it looks like the Gollum makeup they tried in Lord of the Rings. And so I believe he'll be playing the main villain.
He looks like Gollum, but he also looks like Danny DeVito as Penguin in Batman Returns.
Yeah. So I'm looking forward to seeing the full trailer, probably the next couple of months, closer to its release. Our next trailer was a romantic drama called Fingernails. This stars Jessie Buckley, Riz Ahmed, and Jeremy Allen White. 3 very in-demand actors right now. The film is about a scientific institute which uses biology to determine whether or not people are truly in love. So it's an interesting concept of blending science with emotions, where this institute, which Riz Ahmed works at, and then Jessie Buckley, after wanting to learn more about it, she gets a job there too. So the film is basically about this institute found this scientific process where they take a DNA sample from each part of a couple, and the DNA sample through this biological process can determine, are these people actually in love for real or not.
That's scary, but also interesting.
Yeah, it's an interesting concept. And so she's married to Jeremy Allen White. They did the test 3 years ago and passed. So biologically, scientifically, they're in love. But you can tell there's something missing on her end. Doesn't feel right. And then when working at this institute, she begins falling for Riz Ahmed's character. And so then she's like, am I in love with 2 people? And then is that scientifically possible? It looks like a really interesting concept and a twist on the romance drama. Also co-starring Luke Wilson as the head of the institute.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, so I haven't seen him in a movie in a while.
It's been a minute.
Yeah.
Next up, we have a trailer for a new Tomb Raider project. This is an anime from Netflix. Now, this picks up after the events of Tomb Raider Survivor video game trilogy, which had 2013's Tomb Raider, 2015's Rise of the Tomb Raider, and 2018's Shadow of the Tomb Raider. The animated series will chart the globe-trotting heroine Lara Croft's next chapter as she takes on the role of the iconic Tomb Raider she was destined to become 25 years after her first game appeared. Lara Croft continues to explore new territory, and Lara will be voiced by Haley Atwell.
Perfect casting.
I'm
just do it with her. Make a live action with her.
They should just make her as Lara
Honestly.
Croft. I mean, that would be a really good idea, to be honest.
She's great casting. She exudes that Lara Croft personality already.
She killed it with the action in Mission Impossible.
I would love to see Haley Atwell as Lara Croft. She would be great.
I feel like if they're going to do a Lara Croft film series, they're probably going to reboot it with someone like in their 20s, though. Because I believe Haley's in her mid-30s, like 35, 36. Because she's older than Rebecca Ferguson. Mm-hmm. And Rebecca Ferguson from Mission Impossible, she's like 33, I think.
Yeah,
34.
Ferguson's young. She was only like 25 in her first Mission Impossible movie. She was young.
Incredible actress.
So I mean, dude, I'd say cast Haley. Who cares how old she is?
She's great.
It didn't work with the younger actress.
Yeah, I mean, with Alicia?
Yeah.
Well, it's not that. I think Alicia was a great casting for Lara Croft. It's just the movie was terribly written.
Well, that's what I'm saying. If you go with a young actress, you're going for the origins again.
Yeah, I wonder. Well, Angie had to be, in her mid-30s when she was Lara Croft?
She was probably 30.
Yeah.
Either late 20s or 30s. She was, she wasn't young. She wasn't a kid.
But I feel like that was like
2002?
Let me see.
2004?
Keep talking. I'll figure something out.
Prey 2 was just announced by Hulu and Disney. They've greenlit Prey 2. There's no details on the film, so we don't know if they're going to make a sequel to Prey or if they're going to do another area, another location geographically in another era. I think it would be fun to go with like the Assassin's Creed route of every film could be a different setting, a different culture, and a different time period, and predators in that environment, just like Assassin's Creed.
I think so too.
I think that would be the best way forward, to just make it so fun. And it would be fun to watch this franchise if, like, 15 years from now, it'll be like playing the Assassin's Creed games where one's in ancient Rome, one's in feudal Japan with samurai. I think that would be really cool.
But they're not going to do that.
No, they're probably going to do a sequel to the first one. But I think it would be fun to jump around.
I think so
cultures.
too. So Angelina Jolie was actually only 26 in Tomb Raider in the first one in 2001.
Wow.
Man, that movie. I became a man when I saw that movie for the first time. I was so in love with Angie.
Yeah, everyone was, yeah.
So in love with her.
Oh, man.
Moving on. So we have the Golden Globes news. They have added 2 new categories. What is this? The Globes have added categories for Best Cinematic and Box Office Achievements. So the films will be eligible if they achieve a box office receipt total gross of $150 million. That's a weird category.
Well, they're just trying to make more popular movies. They're trying to increase their viewership because nobody watches them. So they've added. They
could just have better hosts. Bring Ricky Gervais back.
That's true. I mean, but also like they want their goal in their statement was to get films nominated that audiences love that never get nominated. So the kinds of films that most people like
John Wick,
like they never get nominated for Best Picture or anything. So they're making its own category so that these films can get nominated for an award and win an award. So it needs to have $150 million minimum gross, but they're also still being strict about it has to be creatively incredible, like well done and artistic. So they're still going to have a high standard for quality.
So like Fast 11's not going to get a nomination.
Fast 11's not going to get nominated when they make it. They also added the category for Best Stand-Up Comedian for TV. So I like that. TV comedian specials can now get nominated for Golden Globes, and I expect if they do it this year, Chris Rock will win.
Does he have a special coming out?
He just had one this year.
So if they do it for you mean
it'll
for
be
like
for this year's releases.
Season?
Yeah.
Oh, okay, gotcha.
Yeah, so I think Chris Rock he has it in the bag.
He had a great special. He did. All right, so
and it looks like Barbie would definitely win box office achievement.
Probably because it's between that Oppenheimer.
Well, Oppenheimer's probably going to win Best Picture.
Mm-hmm.
So they're gonna. This is a category to nominate movies that aren't going to be like Best Picture nominees.
Speaking of Oppenheimer, it's going to make $950 million at the box office. How insane is that?
It's crazy.
That is bonkers. And once it has a re-release, it'll pull $1 billion. It's going to break $1 billion eventually at the box office. It's one of Nolan's most successful films.
It's about a bunch of scientists talking for 2.5 hours
and more than that.
Yeah,
There's some. It's an incredible film. But who would have thought? Obviously, we were expecting at least $500 million from a Nolan movie, but almost $1 billion about the Manhattan Project.
Crazy.
That is wild, man.
I mean, I projected $700 million tops for that movie.
You know why? It's a good movie.
Yeah,
that's what you just gotta do. Just make really good movies, everybody. You listen in studios, just make good movies.
Because it was not front loaded with box office.
No.
It opened to $65 million. It was not front loaded.
Global. It was domestic was like 40.
It just kept chugging along. So it's you don't need the huge opening weekend. If people like the movie, they'll tell other people to see it, and then that will just spread like wildfire.
Exactly. We have some Netflix news. They sent their final DVD by mail. Remember the old days when you used to mail in, get in the mail DVDs from Netflix? You would select your movies on the internet, then 4 days later, they'd come in the mail.
There's like a check mark system.
Yeah, Anthony would have 17 at a time. He had 46 Netflix accounts.
Yeah, it's worth it.
He had his own library of Netflix movies going in and out on rotation. But they sent their final one by mail, and it was the Coen Brothers remake of True Grit. That mailing service is officially over. I'm sure a lot of you didn't even realize that it was still happening, but I didn't
until we talked about it a month ago.
A lot of people just love physical media still. I love physical media too, but it's still a thing.
And you gotta think about like older people who using Netflix by mail was like a new thing for them, and so they don't want to go even more advanced than that in technology. So they're probably like happy with that account.
Well, it was a thing, but it's over now.
Yeah,
so Netflix is done with
fun.
DVD by
That was
mail.
a fun last movie. For them to send
it's
out.
great. You know, it built their empire. I wonder if they sent them something else too,
like roses. No, because they didn't buy it. Like, remember a month ago they announced they're just giving them away.
Yeah.
So it was just like a free giveaway.
Random ones. Yeah. All right, moving on next to. There's some silly. The internet's funny.
I just saw this. Yeah.
So Kevin James, the comedian and actor, obviously most famous from Paul Blart Mall Cop, as well as King of Queens.
How would you put Paul Blart ahead of King of Queens?
Because it's more recent.
Yeah, but King of Queens is goated.
First of all, I included both in the same sentence, But a lot of the listeners probably don't even know what King of Queens is because they're like in their early 20s, Anthony.
All right, good point.
Asshole. I'm catering to the audience. I think about our listeners because I care about them so much and I try to empathize with them and their feelings.
just say the story.
But dude, Paul Blart's lit, man. That shit's gas, bro.
It was shot in our mall that we used to go
Natick
to.
Mall or Burlington Mall?
Burlington Mall, yeah.
The first one, yeah. So he's just taken over the world with memification. Everyone is memeing Kevin James photos. Like, he's got these great like stock photos and like behind the scenes photos or whatever, just photos of him like leaning against a wall or just like crossing his arms. It's taking the world by storm. Twitter, Instagram, YouTube, wherever you go, you see Kevin James memes now. It's like the thing this week. It's so funny.
The meme of the month.
It's so funny, and it's so the internet's so weird, man.
It's just, you can't predict this shit.
Just something like this will catch fire, and I love how people are using the stock photos or like the Getty images where it has the watermarks all over it, but they're still posting it because it's a great photo of him. He's like wearing like a cabbie hat with elbow against the wall.
What? I haven't seen that.
And he's got like the Kevin James smile, just like smiling. It's silly, man.
It's like his headshots.
Yeah, they're like
from the early
cheesy
2000s.
headshots from like 2001.
Oh my god,
I love it because Kevin James is a great guy and
Yeah.
he seems so funny. And King of Queens, we loved growing up, and then
my God,
he's
yeah.
just a great comedian and people love him. People love him. It's just a funny thing that's been going on this week.
I remember seeing like 3 days ago, like the first one, and I was like, "What? Who did this meme?" And then now it's everywhere.
Everyone is doing
Everyone's
it.
doing it. Did we do one? Did you
Not
do
yet.
One?
Not yet.
Come up with a good one.
The thing. All right, I'll try to figure
Work
it out.
harder, man.
Work harder. Nobody wants to work these days.
Oh my god! I just saw the trailer for Hulu's trailer, and that they were like all over it.
Well, like Hulu's like this year.
This
upcoming
like this season.
popular show.
Yeah. All right.
Fast-
Next up, here we go. It's not gonna end. Fast X. A new draft of the script has been ordered.
No, Fast X already came out. Anthony.
I mean, Fast 11.
Read the words.
I did
wrote.
read it. My brain didn't. My brain didn't say it properly. Fast 11. A new draft of the script has officially been ordered now that the strike is over. It's definitely gonna be about family. It's set to release in April 2025, so they are wasting no fucking time at all.
In my notes, I just wrote family. I think it tripped you up for a second.
Oh my god. So they gotta. I mean. They gotta explain what happens now that the Hoover Dam is exploding above Vin's face. Like, what's gonna happen? Oh my god, that's how they ended that movie. With the Hoover Dam just on fire. And he's with his son. Like, oh my god.
Lots of cliffhangers for Fast X that should be answered for Fast 11. So I'm very excited to find out what happens.
Are you?
Very. I'm ecstatic.
Oh my god.
Ecstatic. All right, that wraps this week's movie news. Again, episodes this week. Tomorrow, our explanation going over the details of the new WGA contract with the AMPTP, which will last until May 2026, as well as Wednesday. We're doing an entire episode. It's like 2.5 hour breakdown of Denis Villeneuve's Blade Runner 2049. Very exciting stuff. Excellent episode. Excellent episode. That's our new thing. Thank you so much for tuning in. Become patrons today at patreon.com/Raiders of the Lost Podcast. Leave those 5-star ratings and reviews at Spotify and Apple. And please share this with your film lover, friends, and family members and loved ones if they want
People
some great
you know and
people you know.
your
Just-
pets.
Honestly, just bombard everyone you know in your texts with episodes from Raiders of the Lost Podcast. That'd be great. Yeah, if you could do that, that'd
Yeah.
be great. Yeah. Thank you.
See you next time.
Thank you for watching Raiders of the Lost Podcast. Be sure to hit that subscribe button, hit the like button as well, notifications for sure. Listen to the show on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, everywhere you can listen to podcasts, and be sure to check out this other content we have on our YouTube channel.